Get comfy. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a nice sort of like chilled one, so grab a cup of coffee or tea and get comfy for today's video, in which I will be chatting about getting back into training after you've had time off or you're in a bit of a slump with your training. If you guys like this kind of content and want more, I will leave a little link down below so you can sign up for my newsletter where I send out similar kind of content. So a really important part of when you're training and you're progressing your skills is you want to have time off, or like time to rest and allow your body to recover from whatever type of training it is that you do. And when you have this time off, sometimes when you're coming back into doing your normal training or your workouts, it can be easier to get back into it, or sometimes it can be harder for a myriad of different reasons. And this is particularly what I'm going through at the moment because I've just finished my season at Adelaide with Don't Mess With The Dummies. I'll leave a little link up here for the vlog that I made while I was there so you can check that out and see what I was up to. But I just finished Adelaide and we've just gotten back to Melbourne, and I've sort of made sure that I've had a bit of time off from doing my normal training to really give my body time to rest and recover. And it's sort of about that time when I start to back into my training and doing it again. And I've been just particularly struggling, and I feel like I'm in a bit of a slump, which you might be too, where I'm finding it so hard to get back into training. So that's why I've sort of compiled a list that I find really helps me when I'm going through those sort of like slumpy stages, or I'm feeling really unmotivated with getting back into training. So my first tip is starting small. So let's say you normally do like an hour of handstands, or like you normally do like a full handstand session, and you're struggling to get your head into like the headspace when you would do that full training. So sometimes I find it easy to just be like, I'm just gonna do like 15 minutes of juggling today. That's all I need to do. It doesn't have to be an hour, doesn't need to be like my full session like I normally do, just needs to be small, easy, and manageable. So just setting like a small goal of maybe it's like 15 minutes of like handstands and just sort of like stretching and warming up, and just maybe like it's going over your basics. So you're not really like progressing very far, but you're just getting your body back into that movement. Tip number 2, writing it down. So sometimes when we're just sort of going through life without a plan, sometimes it can be really easy to be like, oh yeah, I'll do this thing like next week, or I'll do this tomorrow. And it's really easy to just forget that you like said you were going to do that, or just like not hold yourself accountable if you don't do it because you just said you were going to do it. You didn't like write it down, you didn't tell a friend or something. Helicopter. So many noises. So that's why I find it super helpful when I write down what I'm going to do. So I normally sit down at the start of the week and I normally write down what I'm going to do for the rest of the week. And then it makes it really easy to just be like, all right, tomorrow I'm doing my juggling. And then the next day I'm doing my handstand training. And it's like, once that week starts, I don't need to like think about when I'm going to do it. I don't need to like worry about if it's going to happen. And I find that like writing it down in my diary really helps to keep me accountable. You could take that further as well. So if you do struggle to hold yourself accountable, even when you write it down, because like you're just writing it down, you could easily just be like, ooh, oh my God. Did I get it? Ow. What was I saying? Yeah, if you write something down, sometimes you might be the kind of person that like, that doesn't really work for you. So if you need to take that a step further, you could find an accountability buddy or a brother or a sister, and you could be like, hey, can you check in on me tomorrow? I really want to make sure that I get my handstands done, or whatever, like workout or program done. And maybe they have something that they want to be helped to be accountable for. So you can find a buddy, and that can they can check in on you, and then it's that level of letting someone down. Number 3, writing down your goals or your why. I found this one actually really helpful the other day because I was struggling so much to just find why I was doing my training, and I actually found that it really helped when I was like, actually wait, why did I originally start doing this? What was my why for it? I remember that I used to have a lot of fun playing around with handstands. I used to try different leg shapes, and I used to love doing all the little pathways and leg movements, and I'd completely forgotten about that. And so that kind of helped me to remind why I was doing it, because I really loved to play and I hadn't actually done that in a while. So I found that really helpful to remind myself why I really enjoyed it. And then another similar thing is reminding yourself of your goals for that. So reminding myself of some really crazy goals of mine, of really specific handstand skills that are just I'm still probably not very close to getting them, but just reminding myself of those amazing goals and how cool it would be to achieve them really helped to spark up my motivation. And that kind of helps lead me and bring me to the next point, which is number 4, and it's about motivation. Finding the motivation to train can sometimes be so hard, and I think a lot of the other tips that I've already talked about are also really good for that, because sometimes waiting for the motivation to come and to help us start something isn't always a good idea. Sometimes by taking action first, the motivation comes next. I think that's from a quote or something, but I don't remember who, or it's from a book. I'm terrible with writing down these types of things so that I can actually quote where I found it from. But it's that idea of that you can't always let motivation to help you to do things. Sometimes you have to take that action first, and then later on you'll find that motivation that will help keep you going. Another thing that I've sort of found very relevant to my handstand training in particular at the moment is taking it a bit too seriously, honestly. Because when I was thinking about my goals and my why, that kind of reminded me that I used to have a lot of fun actually. I used to play a lot more with my handstands, and the last little while I've just been quite serious about just getting my reps and sets in and my time in, and that's all well and good for progressing and stuff, but if you are getting stagnant and bored and unmotivated from just doing that, you need to find some way of challenging yourself, spicing it up, and trying new things. So one of my best tips for this is, if you're kind of bored with the skills that you're working on, is taking it back to where your basics are at and trying to play around with some different variations of those basics. So you could see where you could improve them, if that's with duration or leg movement or your head view change. Because that way you're building on skills that you already have. You already have those skills and you're just building on them. So they're going to be a lot more achievable quickly rather than your more harder skills that you're working on at the moment. And this can really help, especially in boosting your confidence with actually being able to get new skills, because when you are just working on those really hard skills, so for me it's working on improving my one arm time, that's literally gonna take me so long to get. So it's like that confidence in that improving is kind of diminishing a little bit. So just practicing on some of my basics and trying to improve things like my view change hold, or like moving my legs around in that view change hold, just helps to give you like small wins and really boosts your confidence. Number 5 is quite a simple one actually. I personally really enjoy listening to music when I handstand or juggle, because I just find that it keeps me like moving and like pumped up. Or you might like listening to podcasts when you do handstand to just also like keep your mind listening to something and engaging in something at the same time, especially when you're like in between your like handstand drills or skills. It's just kind of like nice to have something on in the background. And I even find that when I do turn on music for my training sessions, it actually helps me to like get in the mood to train, because the other day I was supposed to do a juggling session and I just, I wasn't feeling it at all. I felt like I was very tired and I just wasn't feeling it. And I just ended up sort of like chucking on some music. I think I was listening to some music while I was like doing some like chores or something. And some really good songs like came on and I started to like groove around a bit and I was really enjoying it and I was getting really like pumped up. And then I was like, I had finished like what I needed to get done and I was like, I want to keep listening to music and like jamming out and having a little groove. And it's something that when I do juggle and I have music on, I'll often like groove while I'm juggling, or like in between things, or like have a little play, because I really enjoy doing that when I juggle. And so I was like, I want to keep listening to music and grooving. And I was like, I'll juggle and I'll keep like having some fun and listening to some like great music. And that kind of like helped lead me into to do my juggling session, which was awesome because I was feeling so unmotivated to do it beforehand. And then I was just like, yes, this is what I needed. And I just felt so inspired to like juggle in that moment. And I found that that really helped me to get back into my training. Alright, and my 6th tip for this one is joining a class or a group. So let's say you train alone, like a lot of people do. Some people do. I'm the kind of person that quite often trains alone, especially after the time that I spent inside last year. And some people find it a lot nicer to train with other people or to train in a class setting, because that can really motivate you when you have like other friends around you and cheering you on. It's also a great place to experiment and learn new things from other friends or teachers, and that can really help to bring back that spark when you are learning new stuff, to get back into whatever training it is that you do. I am especially looking forward to getting back into some circus training spaces to train with some friends again. This little list is definitely not the only stuff that's out there. If anyone else has any other tips that they want to share with this little community that I've created, please chuck them down below in the comments so that we can continue to help and inspire each other to move and to train and to just have some fun with our training again. Oh, I'm gonna cry, what the fuck? Yeah, and that kind of brings me to the end of this video. If you did like it, please give it a like because it really supports my channel, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and the little notification bell if you want to be notified anytime I release a new video, which is usually once a week, except for when I take a week off here and there. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Filming again. Yay. Small wins. Didn't procrastinate.